Good morning and welcome to the last one in this current session of Be Healthy Church. And it's good to have you here. It's good to have you watching online. And we'll get straight on because this is the last one. It's number 7. If some of you have watched this before or seen other things, you've seen it's part of the public health collaboration. It's also a part of Be Healthy Church. And thanks to the public health collaboration for some of the slides that we have used during this course. At first, I have to put a disclaimer in. I'm not medically trained. This is advice. Please do not change any of your medications because you without consulting your doctor or dietitian first. We are looking today at eating out. Why am I not losing weight and metabolic health? Christmas and other festivities, because at the moment today's date is the end of November 23, so Christmas is just around the corner. Now, some people have said that this stuff is new. Well, you know, those with diabetes or type 2 diabetes, this information that we put out about eating lower carbs, this actual book here with reference is Cookery for the Diabetic, and it was actually written in 1898. Yes, 1898. And it's interesting because one of the things they're talking about there is eating puddings and desserts. And one of the things that if carbs are okay to you and you can eat puddings, if you want to cut down even more than what they suggest here, is actually not using milk, but using cream. Yes, you heard me right, cream, because the milk contains some carbohydrates in there, but the cream, the carbohydrates are taken off when it is skimmed. So there you go, that's a long time ago. And of course, if we were eating like we were eating back then, not that we were alive back then, but if we were eating like we wouldn't have put on the weight that we're put on today. And it's all to do with the ultra-processed foods, the seed oils, and the masses of carbohydrates that we're being recommended to eat. Now, we're looking at eating well, excuse me, while eating out. That can be a challenge. Especially in this time coming up to Christmas when we could be eating a lot of foods. So if you, of course, go to the high-end dining, it could be a lot different because you can be, they often cook with butter and cream. So it's quite often not such a disaster. Now, I thought I'd look at a restaurant, a pub close to Arms, County Arms, which is quite near to me here in Truro. Eating out can be tough, and you need to look at a menu before you go, ideally, because if you don't, if you fail to plan, basically you're planning to fail. So here on this menu, I would actually pick out the seasonal soup. I just would not eat the bread roll because I know I got a meal coming to follow. But, you know, looking at this next slide, what do you pick off this? You know, I used to pick fish and chips, thinking it was quite safe. The chips, of course, if you're trying to lose weight, is not a good idea. But I would never choose fish and chips in a pub now because they're always going to be cooked in seed oils. So I would never touch that. And on this, I would probably go for ham, eggs, and salad, and say hold the dressing. Again, seed oils, you're not sure what it's made of, so I just avoid it and have something which is easy to eat. Or the grill is quite a safe place because steak is good. You can go for steak, you can go for a mixed grill. You just got to remember that there's going to be a touch of probably seed oils because of how they're cooked, but I mean, it's going to be a very tiny bit. And then have balsamic vinegar or olive oil as a dressing. So that's one that you can go for and recommend it. Now, this is where you don't even think about it. make a decision beforehand and ask for a cup of coffee. If you really are still hungry after you've had your meal, perhaps they've got cheese and biscuits without the biscuits. All right? One cracker isn't going to do you much harm, but a cheese tray is a good alternative. So now, what about if you're out staying and you come for a full English breakfast? Well, a full English breakfast is actually quite good. Bacon and eggs, omelette, mushrooms, tomatoes. They may even have full-fat yogurt and some berries if you don't want cooked. Or you could have both if you're really celebrating, But just avoid the toast and the hash browns. They're not going to be good. And if you have a really good breakfast, they say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Don't forget, that was actually given out by Kellogg's, who was trying to sell a lot of cereals. But eating meat and cold meats, cheese, is all good for breakfast. It's giving you protein, it's giving you fat, it's setting you up for the day. And of course, if you have a good breakfast, you probably do without lunch. And that's another challenge, isn't it? Because if you're out and about and you go to some places, what are you going to eat? And one of the things that we do when we're out is we may go into like sort of M&S or somewhere and look for a salad or some for lunch. Look at the pre-packed stuff and just see what is in it. And we always look to see if there is oils, and you have to be so careful. This week we had some sliced beef that was actually packaged, and when you read in it, you notice that it was packed with vegetable oils. I think, why? Anyway, that's another story. So another place that I do like to eat out is Indian restaurants. Now that is another challenge for us, but if you're trying to lose weight or you're diabetic, you want to avoid the naan breads. Don't touch them. An odd poppadom with some dips, perhaps some chutneys. But poppadoms are usually made with chickpea flour, but again, they're probably cooked in oil. So but you need to watch. Tandoori is a good way because that is dry cooked, and also sometimes you can get barbecue meat before they add the sauces. So be careful with them. Too much fruit. We have to be. If we're really serious about this, we need to take it seriously. If you don't care, well, I sort of wonder why we do the course. We need to remember, folks, that our body as Christians is the temple of the Holy Spirit. And so we should look after our body. Our body is given to us to last a lifetime. And a lifetime can be made short if we abuse our body. But I do believe that we are called to look after it, and we should. So looking for food at low carb is a challenge. We need to say to ourselves, how processed is this food? And I believe that personally, if you go to a good restaurant, is better than a cheap takeaway, that we get from Tesco or Asda. These ultra processed meals that are coming from a factory are not the same. So, try that. So Turkish, Greek restaurants can be great too for eating out. There are low carb options in some places now, and that is good. But it is a challenge for us. The other thing, of course, is you could stay at home and make your own takeaway. There are things to do, and you're not going to use the wrong foods. You're going to cook with the wrong oils. You're going to treat yourself to making your own takeaway, and you can even freeze them and use them so you don't have to cook on an occasion. You can say this is a takeaway night, but actually you take it out of the deep freeze, you thaw it out, you make your cauliflower rice to go with it, and make it a treat. And there are you can go to a Fakeaway manual. You can go to the websites Google, put it in, and you can find lots of things to do for yourself. Here's another one. Slimspirational has recipes for several popular takeaways, and that's something that you can look into. So the next thing we're going to look at is, why am I not losing weight? Now, I don't need to lose any more weight. I eat real food. I eat occasional carbs, and I say occasional because it is occasional. We tend to follow a very low carb lifestyle, but we always eat real food. And if you always eat real food, the stuff that was around 100 years ago, not cooked in oil, you should maintain your weight without being too overzealous about it. But you came on this and you think, I need to lose weight. Why aren't I losing weight? And I should be. This is taken from Ditch the Carbs. And so I'm not trying to claim ownership of it. Ditch the Carbs. You can look these things up online yourself. Top 10 reasons why we're not losing weight. The number one reason is simply we're eating too many carbs. Carb creep. We cut out to start with, and now it's back in. Oh, I just had a piece of cake. I just had a bun. I just had, some cereals, and I've upped my amount. And it's so easy. And so that's the number one reason. Now, we all have different thresholds when it comes to carbohydrates. What one person can eat, the other person just can't. So there are trackers out there, like MyFitnessPal is one, but there are many trackers you can have so you can keep a watch on what you are actually doing. I don't carb count. Some people do to make sure they keep low, but if you know the foods that you should and shouldn't be eating, just watch which ones you're eating. Now, fruit is another one that's easy to overdo. Stick to one small portion of berries, or don't have any. It's so easy to eat too much fruit, and there's no real need to eat fruit at all. 5 a day was a good marketing ploy that was picked up by fruit companies, and I have seen people who have their normal balanced, whatever that is, diet, and then think, I've got to add 5 pieces of fruit and work their way through an orange, a grapefruit, a pear, an apple, and a banana. Which is crazy, way too much carbohydrates, not good for us. Fructose has this amazing ability of going straight to the tummy, and it really is not a good thing. Now, what we should be eating is the vegetables of that, not the fruit, the 5 a day. If eat low carb vegetables, really good for us. Doesn't count when you eat carrot cake, It's the cake bit you need to be avoiding. But there are recipes you can use, and also the other things that can affect us is dairy. If we're eating too much dairy. Now, we of course recommend eating full-fat yogurt and cream, but we have to be careful of the amount. If we're actually not losing weight, perhaps we're overdoing. Perhaps we're eating after we're actually full. And we need to just question ourselves to make sure that we're not eating just too much dairy. Cheese, of course, can be highly addictive, and it's highly calorific. Now, we don't suggest you count calories, but you have to use common sense when eating the amounts of cheese or the amounts of cream. And the same applies to nuts. It's no good sitting down and eating a whole bag of nuts, because it's just more than your body needs. So sprinkle a few nuts on a salad, but don't have large handfuls of snacking. Snacking is no good for us. If we want to lose weight, if we want to look after our bodies, just cut out the snack. And if you want a few nuts just to keep you going, have 3 or 4 nuts, a handful, but not a bag full. So, and if you are finding yourself wanting to snack all the time, perhaps you're not eating enough of the right food at meal times. That is so important. Now, for some people, sweeteners can trigger cravings. and they can have a similar effect on your brain as sugars. We've talked about this in the past, and they can tempt you into eating more than you should. So, do what you can to avoid sweeteners. Avoid snacks or thinking of skipping, unless you do it every day, because if you skip lunch and your fasting extends and you can do it easy, that's great. But if you're feeling hungry all the time and you're shutting your body metabolism down, ultimately you're not going to lose weight. Your body thinks you're starving itself, so perhaps you're not eating enough. Now that eating enough of the right food is so important. So lack of sleep also can interfere with weight loss. So try and make an effort to go to bed early. We need, I try to have 8 hours. But it is good for you to have a good sleep, and it's better to go to bed earlier and wake up early. It seems to work. But finally, the one thing you must try and avoid: sugar-free, or if it's labeled low carb, it's probably not real food, and we need to look at eating real food. Now, if I was doing this course now with just people on type 2 diabetics, we'd be looking at results, HbA1c, would be looking at the level of our sugars in our blood. And there's been doctors, surgeries up and down the country that have been doing this low carb diet and have seen fantastic results. And the public health collaboration, which I'm an ambassador for, is working on this and helping doctor surgery up and down the country, and seeing many patients drop their HbA1c levels to even being pre-diabetic and coming out of the type 2 diabetic in remission, and they can stay that way for a lifetime if they watch what they eat. And it's the same for all of us. Our life depends on the fuel we feed. If you put diesel into a petrol car, it isn't going to work. If you put the wrong fuels into our body, it doesn't work. And remember what I said about our body being temples. Now, of course, we're coming up to Christmas season. Times of temptation. Now, remember too, there's no problem in being tempted. We're all tempted, aren't we, in several ways, but the thing is not to give in to temptation. Now, we're coming up to this Christmas season, and the one thing you don't want to think about is, wow, I'm on a diet. But we need to look at what's real in what we're eating and what isn't eating. There are many luxurious dishes that no one would think is a diet food. For example, salmon mousse, smoked salmon, cream cheese, double cream, finely chopped chives, and lemon zest. Ooh, I could eat it right now. So that's a recipe from Good Housekeeping. But, make good food go well and a long way. But plan beforehand what you're going to eat. Liver pate. Just make sure you don't use any vegetable oils. So Christmas dinner, turkey. What is wrong with turkey? Nothing. Turkey, chicken, goose, beef, it doesn't matter. It's all fine for us. The actual amount of carbs in meat is zero carbs. And if you happen to be a vegetarian, you can make a low carb nut roast. Now, as far as other things on your Christmas dinner plate, pigs in blankets. What can be wrong with that? Just try and make sure you get your chipolata sausages with a good 90% meat content, because then the amount of carbs that's in there is very, very low. Wrap them in bacon. Everyone is able to eat those, you included. And the traditional Christmas veg, great. Brussels sprouts, you can be more adventurous, cook them with a bit of bacon, or pancetta, garlic, carrots, cabbage, all perfectly okay. The things you want to cut down on is the roast potatoes. Now, if you can eat one or two, if you're not diabetic, pre-diabetic, and you do eat roast potatoes, make sure they're cooked in goose fat or beef fat, beef dripping. That they're full of flavor. You can have 1 or 2 tiny ones and it's not going to be bad, but just don't pile your plate if you're trying to lose your weight. Parsnips are the other thing which are not good if you're trying to maintain your weight. If you have to have a quarter one, okay, again, make sure it's cooked in the right fats. There's always alternatives. Celeriac, you can do that, and you can cook them in cream if necessary. So look at the options and make your own stuffing, not something out of a packet. Make it with good quality sausage meat, dried sage, softened onion, little water. I'm sure there are ways to do it. Again, look up online for a low carb stuffing. Cook with butter, bake, and some nuts, seeds. If you want a few oats, just a few sprinklings of oats, or something like that. But look it up, and there's more ways to do. And look it up and make sure that you enjoy. Don't make a big thing of it. Have lots of meat, have lots of veg, but just don't stuff yourself with plates of foods that you're going to then regret for the rest of the day. It is important. Now, when it comes to Christmas pudding, well, a single portion of Christmas pudding has about 65 grams of carbs. That would be 13 spoons of sugar. So, again, see if there's a low carb recipe you can find online. There are some. Look them up. And also remember that cream is not a problem. Good old Cornish clotted cream. And look for raisins if you can. Find raisins that haven't been coated in oil. It's sad to say that everything today seems to be coated in oil. If you're diabetic, it's important to watch your carb levels. If you're not diabetic, you're not pre-diabetic, the odd small thing isn't going to hurt too much, but just be careful. If you want to lose weight, don't just spoil everything on one day. And also remember, there's some really good chocolate roulards out there, low carb chocolate roulards. Chocolate isn't a bad thing, and you can make it some great recipe. Emma Porter has got a wonderful Christmas chocolate roulade. Look up low carb Christmas pudding recipes online. You'll find lots that you can have. And remember also cheese. Cheese is good for a pudding, good for a dessert. Low carb crackers. And there's some. We've got some recipes, I'm sure, on our line for low carb crackers. There are low carb cracker recipes on many websites. Look them up, make them. They can be really good and they go well. And of course, it's not just Christmas, it's other birthdays or celebrations we can do. Spice nuts, pork scratchings, and indulgent Yuletide log. All right, but low carb. And there are many out there you can enjoy. Now, suppose you're not the one in charge, but you're invited to a party. You're invited somewhere else. No one is going to notice if you don't eat roast potatoes on a meal, all right? Just don't make anything of it. Just cut it back. Have the meat, have the veg. And you can think of everyone else eating what they want to eat, but you eat what you want to eat. And it's easy enough to do. People don't notice what you're taking on board and what you're not. And at the end of the day, it's your body. You're in charge of what goes into it, and what comes, into it is important. If the worst comes to the worst, out of politeness, just have a tiny bit of something and enjoy it. Don't worry too much about it. Guilt isn't something we want to hang on to, is it? Leave it alone. And the next day, we can always cut back a little bit, can't we? And bring it back into line, get right back on track. Now, if it's a birthday party you're going to, or you're going in and they're going to get, remember, take your own. Take a low carb cake for everyone else. There's some fantastic recipes out there, and you can do it. And there's low carb cakes online. You can do it. Make sure that then you can offer yours to other people. They won't believe it's low carb. You don't have to eat everything that's given to you. Now, the next bit is a clip that I'm going to show. I'll have to add it in. There'll be a link on it of how Some people changed their whole lifestyle. Even though they weren't overweight, they found that changing to a low-carb diet was really beneficial. This one was taken off the BBC morning breakfast, whatever program it's called. I'll put a link to it at the bottom. Okay, the documentary is Serial Killers. If you get a chance, watch it. I'm 99% certain it's available on YouTube. If I remember, I'll put a link down below when we put this video out. So, what we're looking at, is always look to eat real food. Real food, not something that is processed, that's as close to the natural product as it can be. And that way you will be doing yourself a favor, you will be in good health, and you will live well and healthy. We have a Facebook page, Be Healthy Church. Next year we're doing another course, and we'll run through some things, and always there's things to add. But real food is something that we live on each and every day. We just avoid the processed food aisle, even the oil. Avoid the aisle. Look for real food and base your whole lifestyle on real food. Now, we have a Be Healthy Church Facebook page. You can contact us on that. You can look at what other people's stories are. We've had amazing stories from people that have just cut down and cut out carbohydrates virtually to a lot of their diet, and cut out seed oils, and it really does make a difference to their health. It's no good just saying, eat the wrong food and then take medication. All that does is creates the wrong food industry, and gives more to the pharmaceutical industry to put us right, when we have that option of doing it for ourselves. So it doesn't have to be complicated. Eat real food. That's what it is. Eat real food, and we need to remember that. For those that haven't done it yet, please, can I encourage you to watch The Magic Pill? Very interesting. Yes, it's not 100% correct. There's a couple of things in there which aren't quite right about grass-fed beef and grain-fed beef. There's a couple of little things in there. But on the whole, a brilliant documentary. It is available on YouTube. Please, 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 over the next month, when you're thinking about what can I watch on TV, watch The Magic Pill. It is really, really interesting, really informative, really good. So can't encourage that enough. And if you've been inspired by the course, and perhaps you want to help other people, whether it's be with Be Healthy Church, Be Healthy Central, or become an ambassador of the Public Health Collaboration, there's a lot of people out there that need educating on what is good and what isn't good for us to eat. And you can make a difference to someone else's life. So I am going to put up in a moment a video link to a couple of videos. One is by Zoe Harcombe, and she is going to give a little presentation. So a video clip from Zoe Harcombe, who we use a lot, have followed a lot, and she's talking about the obesity epidemic. So there'll be a link to this at the bottom. And also, we're going to put a link to this video, which we'll watch here live, but it'll be linked in. Dr. Paul Mason, Diet and Dementia, and really important part of our caring in the world, that we should educate people and say, well, actually, does diet have a difference? Does it make a difference what I eat to our health outcome long term? And we firmly believe it does. So if you can, take time to watch this. It's about a 20-minute video, and it's really great. So at the end of that video, we actually come to the end of this Be Healthy Church for 2023. All there is for me to say is have a great Christmas, don't overdo it, and watch out for more videos and updates online and new courses that start next year, and outreach into the community. Remember, we can pray to be healed, and I believe in healing, and I believe in prayers for healing. But we also need to take responsibility ourselves for our own body. It's no good just putting the wrong fuel in and feeding ourselves because it tastes nice. I say, did God made it? It's okay to eat. If man made it, probably better to avoid it. So until the next time, if you're watching this video on YouTube or whatever, like, subscribe, whatever, it always helps to get it out. And share the video with someone you think this may be of help to. Be blessed until next time. Bye-bye.